Hey Anti-Society, welcome back to the Anti-Social Planet, and today we're going to be reading episodes 7 and 8 of Tower of God. So last time we got into the next floor that Bomb got teleported into. It's a bit of a battle royale deathmatch thing that's going on, and we met a lot of characters, some who didn't quite make it, and some that did, and some that seem to have some kind of interest in Bomb himself. And we obviously know that he's one of these irregulars, so people are just sort of drawn to him because he's special. We're getting all these different people who are being drawn to him. They're also drawn to the Black March, which is the weapon that he got from Lady Yuri, and the fact that the two of those powers together are really attracting some of the stronger people. And we saw that potentially he is going to be making some kind of ally with this white-haired, blue-eyed guy who seems a little bit intense. He seems kind of like he wants to rule over the peasants kind of energy. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. It looks like we're still meeting a lot of the other characters that are going to be journeying through the tower, and we'll see who decides to team up with whom. At the moment, Bomb is running away from not Alligator Guy, who was one of the participants in the tower who is coming after him. I don't think we've met who is in charge of this particular floor yet. We've met the little robot thing that was announcing stuff, and we saw the floating city castle thing. So I'm assuming that we're going to see something of who runs this part of the tower at some point. I don't know if we're going to see them in the next couple of episodes. I would also like to see what Lady Yuri and Evan are doing and where they have ended up. I know that they were traveling towards this starter floor to try and find Bomb and get the Black March back. So it looks like a lot of things are kind of still being set up, trying to get characters in the right place. We haven't learned anything about Rachel or where she is, only learning about kind of her importance to Bomb himself. So let's just get into these episodes and see what kind of madness is happening on this floor of the tower. Episode 7. Oh, where are we at? It's the lizard looking person. Are we gonna fight or make friends? Fight, I guess. You walked into something a little bit intense, I think. Well, you seem a little bit confrontational. Someone who enjoys fighting a little bit too much, perhaps. Oh wow, quite a weapon though. Did we just throw a sword up in the air? What's going on? Whoa. So they've got a lot of different style swords, weapons. There seems to be some kind of command to them, which might have some kind of magic associated with them. I'm not sure. Ooh, those are fighting words right there. Yes, the turtles. I still don't know why turtles. Why is that the comparison that we're making? I'm sure it's a cultural thing for him, but it doesn't make any sense to me. Are we just hiding? Aw. I mean, I'm all for waiting it out, I guess. Ooh, introduced to a writing system. I love it. It's not anything, I'm assuming it's a writing system invented for the webcomic, because it doesn't look like anything I know. Is the Black March famous? Seems like he recognizes it. A little bit aggressive, okay. He didn't steal it, if that makes you feel better. It was given to him. It's a long story. So, if it's something that people don't really see, so does he just know it because of the name, or has he seen it? Because he's ordinary rankers don't get to see it, but does that count? Is he part of that, or has he actually seen it before I'm assuming no, because he didn't recognize it on sight. So I'm assuming he just knows the name of it. And it's kind of like has kind of some legendary status to it. And he was trying so hard to have people not know that he's an irregular. But it's gonna come out. You can't keep the secret forever. It's too much of a thing to keep, especially since things sort of happen around him that mark him as irregular. Starting to get ideas, figuring things out, connecting the dots. I don't think he's fully decided if he wants to help Bomb yet or not. Oh, well, I guess he's decided now that he's gonna keep Bomb around. Kun? I'm probably gonna get it wrong. Okay. I don't feel like he was a huge stickler for the rules anyway, and I also feel like probably part of the way of beating the tower, like actually getting up the tower, is to not entirely follow the rules. Like, I feel like you have to break them in a creative way that, like, you're not technically breaking the rules, but you're kind of bending them to work to your advantage. I feel like there's enough kind of... I feel like the tower itself is built to prevent people from getting through it to the top, right? So if you can't find creative ways to get around challenges, then you're not really proving yourself. Like, if you just follow the rules, you're not actually, like, showing innovation or, like, showing off that you have specific skills that mark you out as unique. Aww. Look at little Bomb. I think you should take the not alligator with you. Or the not crocodile, I guess. I like these two. Like, so far they have some cool fighting stuff going on. The poor bystander guy who just, like, wandered in and they're too busy fighting to notice him. Well, that was episode 7. Let's go on to episode 8. Okay, episode 8. I don't know if I want to communicate with someone who threatens to peel off my skin, but considering what this tower is probably like, I feel like that won't be the only time that might be an issue of, like, having to team up with someone who is currently threatening you. Like, they're all just like, he's gone crazy. Maybe a little bit. I mean, you were also assuming that he was sane to begin with. So everyone has a timer with them so they know how much time is left. The test is over. Didn't they have to, like, get the numbers down a certain amount? Or unless that happened just while, like, everyone else was fighting and stuff. I like how they're still fighting in the background. Like, this is still happening. Ooh, everyone has to stop fighting. Interesting. And they seem upset about it. Okay, but, like, this little smile between them, kind of cute. I don't recognize them. I mean, I think I recognize them from the opening. Like, the first, like, prologue thing that we looked at. But I don't think we've been, like, properly introduced to them. Getting teammates, though. Bomb, you're ahead. You've got a teammate. Are they gonna befriend the not crocodile? Because I want them to befriend the not crocodile. I know he's a name, I just can't remember it. Okay, so this guy looking kind of normal, but, like, is that a hand that's just, like, casually in the background? Did he off a bunch of people? 'Cause that makes me nervous. Ooh, 2 regulars. Does that mean that Bomb doesn't count? Like, they need to find 2 more people? Because Bomb doesn't count in that category, so they'll get disqualified if they're just, like, a team of 3 instead of 4. See, it says, like, make a team of 3, but I'm like, Bomb isn't a regular, though, so I don't think he counts. I'm assuming these 3 are gonna be stuck together for the sake of convenience and there being a strict time limit. Yeah. Yup. That's kind of interesting, though, where you're like, you have to fight each other, and then whoever you're, like, last were fighting, because of the time constraint of making a team, you probably have to team up with the person you were just trying to kill. Like, and deal with that being like the team that you are now on. Yeah, see, that's what I was saying. I'm like, you were fighting with the person that you were just nearby. So chances are you're making a team with someone that like you're gonna have to work through some awkwardness of like, hey, remember when I tried to kill you? Let's be buds now. Turn your enemies into allies. I don't feel good about these two being in a team together. They're definitely gonna try and attack each other the moment they get a chance. I'm sure that they'll learn to like each other, but at the beginning, I don't feel good about it. With these merciless murder weapons. Love it. I love it. They're just like, yeah, okay. We want to pass this test more than we want to, like, attack each other, so. Aww. Left behind. I don't think referring to his logical side will work the way that you want it to. Like, I feel like he has his own reasons for wanting to fight Bomb, for getting the Black March or whatever, and as much as I think he wants to win, like, past this challenge, I think you're going to have to prove your usefulness more than, like, referring to his logical side. Yeah, I was like, I don't know if just being like, that's the logical decision to make is, like, gonna be what wins him over. Rock. Wrathriser, that's right. That was his name. Ooh. The intimidation, though. The confidence in his eyes. Good point. Loophole. Yes, so, like, this kind of goes into what I was talking about before, where I was like, you can't necessarily win the different tests of the tower by entirely following the rules. And this is kind of the same thing of him, like, Bomb saying, like, this is your philosophy and you feel very strongly about it. Can I find a loophole in that philosophy? Can I, like, find a way to bend, like, even Rock's, like, core philosophies, bend those so that it benefits me in like, passing this test? I feel like the kid's got a plan. He's smarter than he seems. Are we just... There is a plan, though, right, Bomb? We are planning something. There's some great comedic moments in this that, like, I wasn't entirely expecting, given the, like, action, adventure kind of based storyline. So he's not gonna actually fight him in, like, a meaningful way. I feel like this is gonna be one of those things where it's like, team up with me and, like, hunt me if you, like, want to become stronger. Like, I'll only fight you once I've become, like, the strongest I can be. That's my current prediction, because Bomb's like, well, I want to get to the top of the tower. By the time I'm at the top of the tower, I'm going to be way stronger than I am now. So wouldn't you rather fight me later when I'm stronger? And then you can become stronger and, like, it'll be a better hunt for you? I feel like maybe that's where we're going. Or maybe he's going the side of, like, being not worth hunting to break that. I don't know. Way to recycle panels, though. I appreciate that as someone who, like, knows how much work goes into making a comic book. Being able to, like, copy paste a panel and just, like, change something slight about it. Time saver. This panel and this panel are the same, basically. But they like added in this detail of, like, the, like, veins to make him look angry, and it looks like they, like, redrew it. So they probably, like, copy and pasted this panel that they drew and then just, like, drew over it, because this has, like, slightly less detail than this one. Whereas, like, this panel and the next one with Bomb, literally the same. Which is, like, it's something you wouldn't get in a professional comic, like, something that you wouldn't get in something like print medium. But it's one of the things about digital art that makes a huge time saver, and it makes it a lot easier to put something together. And if you're doing, like, week to week serial style webcomics and it's just you and you're telling the story and you're drawing all the panels and you have other things going on in your life, copy and paste your best friend. I'm not calling it out as like a critique, by the way. It's a legitimate way of like getting around time constraints while still telling an effective story. Yeah, see, he doesn't have time now to go and find someone else. So he's gonna have to settle for them if he wants to get up the tower. Yeah, see, like, I feel like the best way to convince him on their side isn't like, if you want to get up the tower, you have to be on our side, or if you want to pass this test, you have to be on our side. Like, I don't think that's the way of convincing him. I think it's literally like having to say, Bomb will get stronger as he moves through the tower. Wouldn't you rather fight Bomb when he's at his strongest? Like, where's the challenge at fighting him now? So I feel like that's the way to, like, convince him to join their side and team up with them, because, like, that way he'll be there the moment Bomb gets at his strongest point and can, like, then challenge him to a real fight. Uh-oh. We're fighting again. Also, they don't actually have to get him to agree to be on their team, right? Because one of the conditions was if you're, like, physically in contact with them, that's part of, like, making your team. So they could just, like, trick him into being on their team, right? If they, like, grab a hold of him, like, the moment before the clock ticks past. Is what I just said. That's my thought, too. Oh, teamwork. Let's go. I love in this panel that they're, like, they have the panel, so they have the outline of the actual panel, but then they have elements coming out of it. This isn't the only panel where, like, the only section where they do that. There's been previous sections, but coming outside of the panel, one creates a feeling of, like, motion and action, but two, it also, like, makes that action feel like it's bigger in scope, because for the sake of, like, how comic books work and how you, like, have a panel that you're trying to stay within, the world is that panel in a way. So, like, that is the space that you have, is the panel, and in a lot of ways you're constrained to that with a little bit of wiggle room. So having an action that falls slightly outside of the panel means that you are in, like a strict panel, like not the kind where you kind of have kind of a fading effect around it that you can get with digital comics a lot more than, like, traditional medium. But having the action fall outside of that, like, very clear panel edge makes the action feel like it is bigger and more impactful, and, like, the scene can contain, like, there's a bunch of strength behind him, like, bringing down his spear that he has, because it falls slightly out of the panel. And it's also just a great way to have something at the bottom of the panel that kind of falls out of it as a bit of a softer transition between the panel and whatever comes down next. Like, I don't know what the next part is, but it's going to help just transition a little bit because the action is facing down. So as you're reading, the action is leading you to the next part by leading down, because this is a webcomic. So we're going top to bottom as opposed to, like, traditional medium, where if it's like Western comics, you're going to have action that goes to the right, because in Western comics you read left to right. If it's Eastern comics, like manga, you're going to have action that goes right to left, because that's how those comics are read. So just some cool things that are happening with the way that this particular panel is designed. Uh-oh. Good thing you got friends, Bum. That determined look, though. Like, briefly shocked, but he's like, I am going to pass this test and go up the tower. Oh, is it gonna work? I like that they're just, like, they've just jumped on top of him. Okay, but is it gonna count? Because Bomb is an irregular. That is my concern right now. Aww. Poor Rock. So hopefully they have passed this last test. I'm a little bit skeptical about that because I feel like saying it has to be a team of 3 regulars is an important loophole here. Like, I feel like there are a lot of tricks and deceptions within the tower, so someone's gonna bring up the fact that it's a team of 2 regulars and 1 irregular at some point, I think, which is gonna like disqualify them in some way, which I'm worried about. But also I'm curious about like what we're gonna do now. Is there gonna be another challenge? Is there going to be a new location? Like, are we going to end up on that flying city, or are we going to another floor? Because I haven't really found out yet what the process is of like transitioning through the tower, because I mean, Hiden kind of teleported Bomb there, but that's probably not the way it's gonna be all the time. Like, it was kind of a special case. Kind of interested to see like how that process works. And also we got to meet a few new characters. We had the 2 other characters, the 2 that were fighting each other, who have gone off to find a 3rd member, even though there was one right there who just wanted to be part of their team. So we got met some of those characters. We saw flashes of some of the other ones. Gonna be interesting to see how they calm Rock down, to see like how he gets to be part of the team. I don't think he'll be happy about it. And more than that, I laughed a lot while reading these couple of episodes, more than I have in the previous ones and more than I was expecting to. So I like that there are some nice comedic moments in this too, like a lot of action, a lot of like intense stuff happening, but to be able to just kind of take a moment to have fun with it is also quite nice, you know, to see like to just have a break from that kind of suspense and action and stuff, and also to just see like Bomb kind of come into his own little by little is also really nice. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching those 2 episodes along with me. If you did, you can click the playlist to go and watch the previous episodes if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!